Okay, hello and welcome. My name is Ray Thompson. I want to welcome you all today to our Avid Edit On Demand Q&A session. You're in this session, once you signed up, should have gotten an email with a link to a video overview of Edit On Demand, which was hosted by Jason Cowan. So hopefully you had time to watch that content ahead of today's session. If you didn't, don't worry about it. We're going to go through just a quick overview of Edit On Demand. Those of you who did not have time to view that content, to kind of set the table for the Q&A session. So at the end of the webinar, you should have a good understanding of Edit On Demand, which is generally available as of today. So we're very excited here at Avid about that. We're going to do a quick overview of Edit On Demand, and then we'll show you a quick video of basically Edit On Demand, the service, how it works, and then we'll get into questions. So with that, I will get going, and hopefully you'll feel good about what you know at the end. In terms of those of you attending via the Zoom, thank you first and foremost. If you have any questions, please ask them in the Q&A section, and then what we'll do is we will ask those questions on the panel live. So any questions you put into the chat, we will try to get to all of them. And if there are no questions to start, that's okay. We have a few teed up as well. So. But please ask any questions. And then if you are participating on a social channel that we're currently broadcasting to, thank you and welcome as well. If you have any questions, please ask those questions and we will also respond to those. So thank you everybody for being a part of today's webinar. Here's the agenda. We'll do some quick introductions and then we'll do a quick overview of Edit On Demand, what it is, how it works, and then show you a quick video, which is a nice overview of the service. And then we'll get into the questions. So my name is Ray Thompson. I'm the Senior Director here at Avid for Partner Marketing. And I also have Michael Krulik with me today, who is the Video Product Evangelist here at Avid. I'm sure you guys all know Michael. Michael, you want to say hello real quick?
Hello, thank you all for joining.
Awesome. So Michael and I today are going to take you through Edit On Demand and Edit On Demand as a service. So first and foremost, like I said, we're very excited that today Edit On Demand is now generally available. Edit On Demand, if you are not yet familiar, is essentially editorial turnkey in the cloud. So it offers you Media Composer and Nexus Cloud Storage running inside of an Azure VM. And essentially what it does is it auto provisions all the resources needed in order for you to spin up very quickly within a matter of hours, in fact, a full production environment hosted in the cloud. This is accessed via the Paradici PCOIP client, which is a secure way to access Media Composer running in the cloud on those VMs. Those are all GPU-enabled VMs, by the way. And you're able to upload content and then ultimately download content using File Catalyst, which is a secure accelerated file transfer tool that has been qualified for use with the application. So you get all of that as part of the service. You can have up to 30 editors working in the same instance at the same time, all working on the same project from pretty much any location. You can spin up and add users as you go. You can also add more storage. So you can start with as little as 1 terabyte and go up to as high as 200 terabytes of Nexus Cloud storage. And all of that is taking advantage, of course, of the elasticity and, of course, the scalability of the cloud. So it's very exciting and has been proven. So what we did with Edit On Demand was we rolled it out as an early access offering. And we've had a number of clients who used Edit On Demand as a turnkey service, certainly during the pandemic, but they've done real productions with Edit On Demand. So these were not just trials. These were folks actually doing real production work using Edit On Demand with real delivery deadlines on actual productions. And so this has been a great experience both for end users and for Avid as we have rolled it out over the last year and change. And all of that has really just made the service offering that much more robust. And so well, I want to thank all of the users who participated in the early access program because not only did you help us improve the service, but we also learned quite a bit in terms of what's possible. So what's included and what are the key components in terms of Edit On Demand? First and foremost, it's offered as both a monthly and weekly service. You get a set amount of monthly hours in terms of the VMs, and then you also get a certain amount of storage, which again, you can easily scale. Most projects tend to start out smaller, and then as they grow and need more storage and or more users, Edit on Demand can easily scale to meet that demand. You can also run different instances of Edit on Demand. So if you actually hit a project and you're running one project in one instance, you can certainly spin up yet another instance of Edit on Demand, which has happened for sure with folks who have participated in the early access program. And then, of course, you're using File Catalyst to get content into the Azure environment. And then when you're finished, you can then download the resulting media and projects and bins, and then point that back to the high-res content that may be sitting locally on your system. You're accessing, again, using Teradici, and you are paying for, as part of the service, the egress, which is included as part of the package. It also includes Cloud Basic, what is called Cloud Basic service. And so that gives you access to support. And then the other key thing to note here is that there are no overage charges. So if you use the service and you signed up for a certain level and you have X amount of storage and you have X amount of users, you can then go over and you're not gonna get charged. What we will do though, is we would recommend if we see consistently that you're going over what you've actually been sort of allotted, we will make the recommendation that you upgrade to a higher package, which again, is very easy to do, and it's all done using the management interface. At a high level, this is a topology of what it looks like. So inside of Azure, you have Media Composer running on GPU-enabled VMs. You have Avid Nexus Cloud Storage, which is sitting on top of Azure Blob Storage. And one of the key things to mention here is the fact that early on in the Avid and Microsoft relationship, we spent a significant time integrating the Nexus Cloud, the Nexus file system into the Azure Blob Storage stack. And so a lot of what you're seeing today in terms of service offerings and going forward is really going to benefit from the integration work that happened there. And so this is one of the key benefits and one of the big differentiators, right, is the integration level between Avid and Azure Blob Storage. And then, of course, you're using Teradici to access those VMs securely from a thin client sitting out there either as a workstation or a laptop. And then you're using File Catalyst to upload and download content. You can have up to 60 named users inside of the instance, and then 30 folks can be using it at any one given time. And like I said earlier, you have up to 200 terabytes that you can actually scale to. And you also have multiple instances to be able to upload content from different places as part of the overall package. And then all of that is incorporating a variety of different security methodologies. Certainly we're benefiting from both the security already baked into Teradici. We're also benefiting, of course, from the security already baked into File Catalyst. And then, of course, Microsoft and Azure, there are literally thousands of engineers that do nothing but work on security for the Azure platform. And then we, as Avid, from an application level, also have done quite a bit as it relates to ensuring security of the overall solution, which is, as we all know, an ongoing endeavor, right? So in terms of how things work and how you manage things, this is pretty much hopefully very familiar looking to anyone who has ever used either Avid to manage their own sort of subscriptions, whether that be Media Composer or manage their own Nexus workspaces. So you can see these are the dashboards that are available to users to manage both overall usage, to create new users, to delete new users when needed, and then to be able to go ahead and manage things like storage and expanding the amount of storage that you may need as the project evolves. So again, we're using all the familiar tool sets, not just to do the actual editing, using, of course, Media Composer, which everybody's very familiar with, but we're also using a set of tool sets that you're also familiar with in terms of being able to manage your subscriptions, see how much you're using against the allotted package you may have purchased, and then seeing if you need to actually expand as the project goes. So where is this available? Of course, we are taking advantage of the Azure network, which is worldwide. but we are reliant on the GPU-enabled VMs. So you can see here on the chart where this has been rolled out. And as more data centers become available with more VMs that are GPU-enabled across the Azure data centers, those will become options as well. So this is going to only increase over time, and you will see more and more EOD availability as these rollouts continue. So with that, I'm going to have a quick overview here. This is Michael Krulik walking through Edit on Demand.
Avid Edit on Demand is a fully virtual production environment, and Avid's first SaaS offering. It's a complete cloud solution with Media Composer and Avid Nexus running in the cloud, giving you the experience of working at the facility, but you can be anywhere. And it's all tied into your My Avid account. Over the course of the EOD Early Access program, we have gained great feedback from clients, sales, and pre-sales to improve its features and functionality. Some recent enhancements provide more data centers to choose from globally when you set up your instance of EOD. And there are more options when selecting what version of Media Composer you want to deploy, with the latest version of Media Composer set for the EOD release in February, as well as providing admin privileges to manage the Avid Nexus workspaces provided for each instance. Let's deploy a new instance of Avid Edit on Demand. Once the purchase is made, the client is provided with an activation code that will be used to set up the instance of EOD in their Avid account. Redeem the activation code into the account, and you are prompted through the process. Select the region closest to you for your data center, and the version of Avid Media Composer. Again, this will be the latest when EOD is released publicly. Then the dedicated prefix to your Edit on Demand instance will be available to the URL that is sent to any user needing to access it. And activate. It will take a little time to get everything installed, and the admin will get an email with the steps to set up users and get going when it is ready. Once it is done, the instance of EOD can be seen under My Products in the Avid account. You'll see the Avid Edit on Demand subscription right here. And once you go into the Avid Edit on Demand portal, at this point you can go in and start creating users. Let's add Henry as a user, and I'll hit Submit. And that will trigger the user request and will take a few minutes to generate a temporary password that I'll be able to send to Henry or any user that's created. That way, when the user logs in to use EOD, they'll be asked to create a new unique password. You will also see under the system here all of the URLs that are set up to your instance. This is the information that you'll be sending out to anybody as a user that'll give them access to go in and set up Edit on Demand on their system and get to work. The remote desktop clients here will take you to the Teradici website, where you can download the client for your OS and start working. You also have the remote desktop host address, plus you have the host address for File Catalyst. This is where you'll be able to upload any Avid media files or digital files to your instance of Avid Nexus in the cloud. Let's log into the Burbank EOD, which I've previously set up. I already have my user and password. Again, if this was the first time the user is logging in, it would prompt them to create a new password. Now we'll see here that I do have the 5 instances of Media Composer that are set up. So you'll see that a couple of them are stopped, which means that those instances of Media Composer have actually been spun down. We have one that's in session. That means somebody is logged into this instance of Media Composer. But this one is ready. That means that the instance has been spun up. It's not going to take extra time to spin up to be able to access it. And I will be able to go in and use it. So it did bring me into Media Composer at its current state. You'll see that if I do minimize the window, it is bringing me into the instance of Media Composer in the cloud. Now I also want to point out, if I go to the Nexus Client Manager, this is running just like Nexus at the facility, but it's just linking those 5 Media Composers to this one piece of Nexus storage in the cloud. And if I want to go in and administrate any workspaces, I do have access going in using the WS admin to access that. The workspace admin is set up for each instance of Edit on Demand and gives you the ability to allocate your storage depending on how you want to set it up for your editing team. So here I have 5 workspaces. Let's say I'd like to create another workspace. If you know Avid Nexus, it's exactly the same. But again, all we're actually doing is giving workspace administration to Avid Edit on Demand. So I can go in and provide a new workspace name. Let's just call this my VFX workspace. I can choose how much storage I want. Let's do 300 gigabytes. And then you'll also see all of the users are set up here. We have all of the standard users, we have the WS admin, and we also have the file transfer service user. This is the link to File Catalyst. So this has to be enabled for any workspace that you've created to be able to allow any upload to that workspace. If this is not activated for the workspace, you will not be able to upload it with File Catalyst. I'm just going to select all of the users. We'll go ahead and give everybody read and write access and hit save. So now everybody will have access to the VFX workspace. But again, if you're familiar with Avid Nexus, I still have the ability to go in and add or take away any amount of storage to that workspace.
0, come in. I repeat, 0, do you copy?
And the best part is once you get into Media Composer, it's just like you're at the facility, with a shared environment, with project sharing and bin locking between the 5 editing systems or however many systems you purchased with your Avid Edit on Demand system, and the ballistics are fantastic. Just going in and playing. JKL, trimming, all the control. Again, the look and feel of Avid Media Composer in a shared environment, but everything is in the cloud.
All right, so there you have it. It's a quick overview of Edit on Demand to kind of get you up to speed. And I would encourage folks on the call to go ahead and ask any questions. So the first thing I guess I'll do is bring on Michael. Michael, why don't you hop on and say hello to everybody?
Hello again, live from beautiful downtown Burbank here.
Right,
and actually, we did have some questions that popped up. I did, type some answers while this was going on, but I think it might be good to bring up here as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Let's see. One of the questions from Dieter was, if Teradici allows you to log into your workstation, why go through the extra steps of uploading media to the cloud via Catalyst? Isn't it possible to edit media as it lives on the Nexus remotely? Why does the media need to be uploaded to the cloud? And I think we're looking at, as I answered or tried to answer, we're looking at different ways to work remotely with Nexus and Media Composer. I mean, there are ways that you can link with Teradici to a facility-based Nexus and editing systems and be able to log into those. But EOD works as its own cloud-based SaaS offering, which is great for either short-term or long-term rentals, or when people don't have access to a Nexus, or they just want to start a project and just get going and have collaboration. But again, they don't have access to a facility that has a Nexus. It gives them Nexus in the cloud. And the only way to work with that media is to upload it to the cloud Nexus. I think in one of the use cases, you can work with everything locally, and a lot of times you may need to take the actual camera footage, put it into a local system and transcode it, and then you would take that transcoded media and upload that through File Catalyst to the shared Nexus storage, which is on Edit on Demand. Everybody's editing and working collaboratively, and then taking and downloading that stuff can be downloaded to the local systems as well. So I think Ray's going to go into a couple use cases here, if that's okay.
Yeah, so just as you were describing that, Michael, so here's an example of what Gorilla Post did, right? So they basically brought in media locally. They basically did the transcode to a lower bit rate. They uploaded using File Catalyst. Once it was in the system in Avid Edit on Demand, users were then able to access that using the Teradici client to get access to those Media Composers running on those VMs. everybody was editing, collaborating, working together. And then when they were done, they basically took everything out and basically spun the service down. So generally speaking, that's more or less how the workflow works.
Let's see, another question was, is EOD only compatible with the cloud, or is it also possible to connect through physical E4 servers? I replied, EOD is using the cloud through Microsoft Azure, and all the servers are actually at each data center, so you don't need to, or you're not connecting to your own physical server. It's all done. It's all set up for you. Basically, you subscribe, and it's automatically, put together for you.
That's it. I mean, it auto provisions everything you need. It takes, a few hours in order to spin up the environment, but it does all of that for you. And as Michael showed in the demo video there, it basically notifies you once it's available, and you can start uploading media and start working on your project.
Let's see, some other questions. We have a similar setup at work, but the playback is very choppy. Is there anything on the works to run smooth? Well, I guess we don't know what your setup is. So again, we're here talking about Edit on Demand, which is its own separate system. You do need to have, good bandwidth. I think, what is it? We said 20 megs per screen.
20 to 25 megabits, yep. And then if you are going to run a 3-screen setup, then you're looking at about 35 megabits down.
So yeah, depending on what you have, you do have to have the connectivity. So unfortunately, Anonymous, I don't know, we don't know your setup. So we would have to look into that. But again, depending on bandwidth, that should, tell you what you can and can't play back smoothly. Let's see, we have, is it a virtual Mac? Actually, it's not a virtual Mac. When I'm doing my demos and working with Edit on Demand, I am on a Mac laptop or Mac system, but Teradici allows you to download a Mac or PC client to be able to log into a PC Media Composer in the collaborative environment to be able to work. So physically, you're on a Mac, but you are logging into a PC server, which has the Media Composer software running on it.
Here's a question, Michael, about workspaces. There was a limit of only one workspace in the early version of EOD. Has that been changed in the shipping version?
Yes. I think that the cool thing there is, and great question, when the EOD first came out, it was just one workspace, but I think you saw in the video, and I can show you if we go into a live view, I can at some point show that you can go into separate workspaces. So the great thing is there now is administrative access to the Nexus admin tool, which it's limited as far as what you can do with Edit on Demand, but typically what we're finding is people want to be able to create workspaces and manage the users. And I think as a little surprise, I can tell you that I found out today that you can now even manage, when you're creating users, you can now delete users and passwords, which you couldn't do before. So development is, continual. There are some nice changes. So something that we couldn't do before is, as far as the workspaces, again, you can create as many workspaces as you want, workspaces for music, for projects, just as you would any Nexus environment, and have control of the size of those, being able to dynamically reallocate the size, as well as now have control of your users. Again, you can set up, what was it, 60 users, up to 60?
60 named users, yep. With
30 of them
30 people editing at once, yep.
So you now don't have to go to support or to the Avid EOD system support people to actually control those. You now can delete users in Edit on Demand.
Excellent. And then here's one of the benefits if we compare it to, say, an on-prem. And so some of the benefits are, it is a OpEx versus CapEx, right? So in a CapEx environment, someone is going out, acquiring the equipment. If they want to add more capabilities, right, to, say, an existing system, they have to integrate that. They have to then basically stand it up and then maintain it over time. Whereas with Edit on Demand, you can just spin up resources as you need them. So if a project comes along and you want to take the project on, you can basically just spin up the resources. It sets up the environment. Once it's configured, it lets you know. And now you're using that environment collaborating with others, and doing so in the cloud. And when the project's over, you stop paying for those resources and you take everything down. The other big benefit, of course, the cloud is not only its ease of which that allows you to scale, right? So you can easily expand, say, storage, or you can add more users to a project very simply using the interface that you saw right there in the video. But it also allows you to sort of extend the folks who are available to work on that project. So you're no longer really constrained if you're, say, VMing into an environment, rather, if you're logging in rather remotely to an environment that's an on-prem environment, you're somewhat limited as you get further and further away from that site. If you're doing it in the cloud, it certainly opens up a broader set of resources to you to leverage for editing, right? Which could have economic benefits as well, right, in terms of those resources and where they're located. So it's really giving you the ability to knock down, I guess, the walls of being able to access a project, do collaboration across multiple different geos, and do so effectively. So those are just some of the benefits. And the occasional use aspect of it is great because, again, you're able to expand quickly, use what you need to use for as long as you need to use it, and when you're done, you just spin it all down.
And even beyond all that, it's Media Composer Ultimate. I mean, you get the Symphony option, you get phrase find, and you get script sync. So even beyond just the tools of being able to work collaboratively in the cloud in a environment that you're setting up quickly and easily, you have all of the tools in Media Composer. So even above and beyond just the basics. So the phonetic searching, the script-based editing, and the advanced color correction with Symphony.
So here's a question. Can you tie or mount in a light speed for exporting to your cloud system? Also, can you send directly from airspeeds to the cloud? So everything's file-based, meaning file transfer-based today. For example, there is no, I guess, I'm not sure what Lightspeed is, to be honest with you, but if in terms of being able to say live ingest content, that isn't there yet. It's all file-based transfers into and out of the cloud.
Yeah, so there's no direct, I mean, if that was all done on the facility side, anything that you create there, as Ray pointed out, would have to manually be updated or uploaded through File Catalyst to get to EOD.
So in theory, if you had something coming in off an airspeed, you could take the resulting file, put it into a File Catalyst hot folder, push that into the cloud, or transcode it ahead of time and then put it into the hot folder, and then ultimately push it up into Edit on Demand, use it, and bring it back down. So that is one way to go about doing it. So it's possible on the airspeed side of things, but you would have to do a couple things in order to prep the content before you put it in the hot folder and push it. But in terms of, again, I'm not 100% familiar with Lightspeed, but if that is some type of IP ingest tool set that isn't there yet, it's all file-based. Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, does external audio monitoring play nice with EOD?
So external monitoring, I mean, depending on the system you have, if you're connected through Teradici, it's just running just like a software-only set of Media Composer. I think there might be tools out there or hardware that lets you split audio or send it out. So it would be something that would be external. Off the top of my head, I don't know what those devices are, but that would be something that would be set up externally. But I think if Teradici supports any of those, then there are ways. I think there was mention of using in the video Zero clients and other ways of sending stuff out as well. So there may be potential for audio monitoring.
Mm-hmm. Can File Catalyst be used? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
It's okay. Bruce was asking, I'm not familiar with Teradici. Can two separate people access the same cloud workstation simultaneously? Say an editor and a producer reviewing a cut, checking credits, reworking a font in titles? The answer is yes. Depending on the environment that you set up, when you log into, if you say you want 5 Media Composers with 25 terabytes of storage, when you set up your subscription, anybody who's logged into any of those individual 5 Media Composers are working just as if you were at the facility. So you have the bin locking and project sharing. You can have one person who's looking at cuts while somebody is editing, sharing the same media which is on Nexus. So it's again, just like you're at the facility, only a smaller setup designed by you on who you want. So yeah, producers, anybody else can be looking, checking credits or anything, but not being able to send back to an open bin because of course you have all of that bin locking just as if you were at the facility.
Good one. Are there limits to users and scalability? So in terms of users, you can have up to 30 people working in the same edit on demand environment at the same time. And you can have up to 60 named users, which basically means you can create an account for them to access. And if it's available, they can log in with the right credentials. And then you can go up to 200 terabytes in terms of storage.
Let's see, can File Catalyst be used to move transcodes up to an on-prem Nexus? File Catalyst you can upload and download. So I would think, I mean, as long as I wouldn't say you can upload it to an on-prem Nexus, you can download it to an on-prem Nexus. So if you're working, again, the idea as listed here with the Gorilla post-production, being able to take all the media, create it or transcode it to the format that you need for editorial, upload that to File Catalyst. Anything in File Catalyst, if you're working in the environment, you would just send back through File Catalyst and there's a download option, which would download it to your local system or wherever you send it.
Here's one, Michael. Does EU, there it goes. Does EU control on Avid Artist's color surfaces work? Is there also NDI scope capabilities for color correcting?
There are scopes for color correcting inside of Media Composer itself. Do you want me to bring up my interface and show you?
Yeah,
do here? Let me go ahead and share my screen. Should have it up. You should see, sorry, I have all these windows up with the Q&A. So you should see Media Composer. So this is Media Composer. It is connected to my Edit on Demand system. You'll see that it's using the Teradici PC over IP client. You'll see all of my bin locking. So it's one single system. If I move that out of the way, you will see that that is the PC desktop. So it is running Media Composer off of the PC, and I am on a Mac laptop. And you do have the choice of working with a 2018 version of Media Composer or 2020.1 when you do access or activate your instance of Edit on Demand. So you can choose which version you want to be running. I am running the latest version, so you are seeing the workspaces here. So if I'm on any clips here and I go to my color correction, I'm now in the Symphony color corrector, and you'll see that I am in Symphony because I have more tabs across the top here. I have secondary color correction. I have a master color wheel, and inside of Media Composer itself, you do have your waveforms and vector scopes. So we do have waveforms and vector scopes inside of Media Composer that you can use. Anything that you want externally might be a little different because you need a way of feeding that to an external monitor to be able to see that. I would think through NDI you might be able to do that. I don't know if the quality is as high as you would want on there because, again, this is Media Composer. You could work UHD with this version as well. So you have the whole range of formats and frame rates that you can work here. But there are scopes inside of the color correction tool if you choose to use it.
The other option too is offline in Edit on Demand, download and point everything back to the high-res media that may be sitting locally and do any finishing work local too, which is also an option.
So just to show you quickly, this is actually cool. This is the admin tool for Edit on Demand. You're seeing that if you are familiar with Nexus, you had a whole range of selections here, but typically here, all we need to do is manage workspaces. So I think the question earlier was, can you create other workspaces? And you'll see the multiple workspaces here. If I do want to create a new workspace, I simply hit add. I can go in and call this the EOD webinar workspace. give it a size that you want. Let's say we'll do 100 gigs. My computer's not letting me type in numbers there, but if I go in and save that, you see that there now is an EOD webinar workspace that is created here, and I can go in and add however much storage I want to that and update that. Plus, you can go in and give user access. So all the users that you set up here through EOD in the portal, I can now give read and write access to whoever I want. Plus, you can also give access to the File Catalyst user. So there might be workspaces that you don't want anybody to be able to upload to File Catalyst. And this is where you can choose workspaces to upload or not. So I can select them, I can say read and write, I can update that, and now these users have access to that EOD webinar workspace. If we take a look real quick at the Avid, the portal for Avid Edit on Demand, can you see the web page here where I've logged into my account?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, if you look under View My Products, we'll go ahead and log in. And so now, once I log into my products that logged me out, you'll see here that my instance of Edit on Demand is 5 media composers and 25 terabytes. It's actually showing me what I currently have set up. I go into the on-demand portal, and this is where you're going to set up your users. This is where you're going to give the host information to all of the clients when they're being set up. You'll see that I do have a couple instances that were canceled because of changes, but now you're seeing here when I open up the one that's currently active, if I want to add a new user, I say new. We'll say this is the new user. Hit submit, and then what's going to happen is it's going to allow me to go in, or it's going to start creating in the background a temporary password that I'll be able to send to that user. And this is the brand new stuff right here. Haha, trash cans. So I can go in now and choose any of these users and delete them, which I couldn't do before today. So some nice ways to go in and administrate the users for your instance. And real quick, if I go to system, this is where you, when you set up your instance of Edit on Demand, all of the links to the Teradici clients, the host address, once you get into Edit on Demand, and the file transfer URL for File Catalyst. So let's go ahead and take a look and see if there are other questions.
Sure. So here's one: is Interplay integration available or on the horizon? So today it is not available, but yes, there has been feature requests and feedback from customers requesting some level of asset management as an add-on to Edit on Demand, as well as other tiers of storage as well. So good question, Eric. That is, I would say, on the horizon is a good way to put it. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Does EOD offering still have to be put in the Avid Azure infrastructure? Is there any plans to allow clients to host this in their own cloud accounts? So other basically cloud services. So yes, today it is only available in the Azure cloud. Let's see. So there are sort of more, I would say, custom deployments that Avid does through the cloud practice that allows you to work with the cloud practice to install a broader set of capabilities, but that again is more custom. We tend to do that for sort of some of the larger companies, but no, there is no other cloud today available, and it is always in Avid's Azure infrastructure as of now.
I see there's a question, are there limits to users and scalability? So yeah, there are limits to users. Again, you can have up to 60 users, only 30 concurrent. This is all dependent on your subscription that you have, and you can scale accordingly. So, if you find that you're running out of storage, you can add extra storage onto that as well. Again, just by subscription, right?
Mm-hmm. Michael, this is a good one from Dieter. In EOD, when working on multiple projects, how would you organize the Avid Media Files folder in terms of subfolders? Does it work and look just like in a local environment?
The answer is yes. It's just like a local environment. So the whole idea of this is, if you're familiar with the way Media Composer works with Nexus, it's exactly the same thing. So your Avid Media file folders is where all of your media is created. When you transcode, you can move MXF files into there. If you need to, you can rebuild your database. You can create sub or extra folders in there if you want to manage all of that. So yeah, I mean, if you're familiar with the way it works, it's working the exact same way.
All right, and here's another question. Is there a list of cities that are moving towards the service? I assume making the service available. I noticed New Zealand is not on your map. So it's kind of funny that you say that. So we actually do have a customer who has participated in the early access program, who actually did a production that actually was shot in New Zealand and was uploading content to Edit On Demand, and then had an editor working on it in a completely different geography. So while it's not directly in New Zealand, clearly there is a way to get content into and out of EOD for other users to then access and use the service to basically do editing. So, but yes, there will be more and more options as the GPU-enabled VMs become available across more Microsoft Azure data centers. So I would say stay tuned, and we will definitely be constantly updating where the service is available.
There's a question here from David about a project that is ingesting at DNX 180 using a lot of Boris effects, video layers. Would the environment handle this sort of project? There is currently being able to install, plugins is not something that you would be able to do. We are using all of the plugins which come with Media Composer itself, as far as the keying, Animat, all of the basics there. Any extra plugins that you would like, I believe, have to be done through our support team on a one-to-one basis, or something that we have to do on our own. So I would think that if Boris was able to be installed on your Edit On Demand, if you take a project in Media and move it to EOD, it'll work.
And then Candace is asking, can the company I work for more or less transfer, I guess, their existing Avid licenses into this new workflow offering? It's a good question, Candace. I don't know the answer to that. I will definitely get back to you on that one. But good question. Let's see what else we got here.
I think I didn't fully answer the does uControl and Avid Artist Color surfaces work. Now, there isn't control on that because you're not accessing the Media Composers as you would locally, as far as being able to control. I'm wondering if, I mean, I haven't tried I don't know if the app would work. So that's something we'd have to look into. But I did answer the scopes for NDI scopes capabilities. For color correcting, yes, but not for NDI.
Right, and then you should note too that although the early access program is in essence ending because we're making the product generally available today, there is a free trial program you can sign up for. Also note though that not everybody who signs up for the free trial will be given access to the free trial, and the reason for that is because we want to make sure that whatever it is you're doing from a workflow perspective will be met with the capabilities that the service offers today. Know that the service will continue to evolve and add more and more in terms of things like some of the earlier questions that have been asked around asset management or other tiers of storage or third-party plugins and those types of things. So I would say continue to stay tuned as it relates to those requests because again, we're constantly looking for feedback from customers and looking for other things folks would like to have and see inside of the service. So please keep those coming because we're all ears. See what I know there's some other good ones here that we haven't hit on. I just want to make sure that we
Let's see, I see one here. Does the EOD offering still have to be put in Avid's Azure infrastructure? Is there any plans to allow clients to host this in their own cloud accounts like AWS, Wasabi, etc.?
And the answer to that one is no. It's today it's available only in Azure, in Avid's tenancy. So let's see. I know there's some other ones that I just want to make sure we touch on that haven't been asked, but are good ones to hit on. Let's see here. So in terms of monitoring and monitoring usage, Michael showed some of that, but there is obviously a way for you to monitor how you're doing against what you've been allotted in your subscription. And so you use the dashboard to be able to see exactly what it is that you're using and how much, say, storage, for example, has already been leveraged by your current project. So all of that is absolutely available as part of the dashboard. And again, that dashboard will continue to evolve and include more and more information. What is the minimum network speed? I think we mentioned this earlier. That is, we found through the early access program that folks who have 20 to 25 megabit speeds down have a great experience in terms of using Media Composer. They can't tell the difference between using EOD as a service and running Media Composer sitting under their desk. So that's been the feedback so far after multiple early access users trying out the program in a variety of different workflows. And then if you want to have, say, a 3-screen setup, we recommend you have at least 35 megabits down for that instance. Is there a way to have a 3rd screen? There is. So we do have options there through things like Zoom, for example, to enable you to basically look at the output of Media Composer on a 3rd screen. And we are also qualifying other solutions that will enable 3rd screen viewing out of EOD. So stay tuned for that. Let's see. So Michael, in terms of increasing capacity, I think you showed some of that, but in terms of adding more capacity if you needed it, that's all done through the user interface, right?
For workspaces, yes. So if you go to your Nexus workspaces, I may have logged out, or there it is. Sorry, all my windows are in the way. Yeah, all of your workspaces here, if you need to manage any of those to change size, you have all the workspaces right here, and you can simply slide to add more time, or you can access it by double clicking and type in your size here. And just like any Nexus system, anybody who's connected doesn't have to shut down. This can all happen while everybody is, editing. So yeah, being able to manage all the workspaces is a recent change with the new version of EOD.
All right, excellent. Let's see. What happens to your media when your project is done? Good question. Basically, you download your project when you're finished, right? Which includes all the bins, projects, metadata, media, and all of that then points back to the high-res sitting on-prem. And once you've done that, you spin the environment down, and again, you paid for only what you used. Am I missing anything there, Michael?
No, I think the good thing is, we know that, you're probably spending time working on EOD. So if your subscription runs out, we don't just cut you off and delete your media. There is a grace period, and I believe the admin gets emailed, this is the state of your system. You have a certain amount of time to get the media off unless you want to extend your subscription. So we don't just wipe that out. We do have, backups. We do have grace periods for making sure the stuff stays on there. But if you do need to save that, again, go to File Catalyst, download your projects, download your media, download your graphics, whatever you have on there, and back that up.
And then what happens when I log out? Is data saved on the virtual machine?
It is saved. I mean, everything is saved there, again, until your subscription is canceled, until it is totally, if you walk away and after, a month, we're like, okay, we're not getting any reaction or any, response back from the customer, the stuff will be wiped. But if you shut down your instance of Media Composer, the Nexus is still there, your media is still there, so that the next time you log in, you'll have access to all of that.
Yeah, and then in terms of like your hours, right, of use against, say, your subscription, if you stop using Media Composer after 15 minutes, it'll basically stop, right?
Exactly.
So that, that system's not running and you're not, therefore, using time against the allotted number of hours for the month with an idle machine. So that's also good to know. And
So
of course,
if
when you're ready to spin it back up, you just basically log back in and away you go.
So you'll see if I disconnect, as I did right now, it basically shut down that instance. These are other instances that I have, but if I go into the one that I was just logged into, logging in with my username and password, it's going to bring me into my instances of Edit on Demand. Now, again, it's a 5 Media Composer setup, so I have 5 Media Composers that I could log into. One is already in session. Somebody has already logged into that. So potentially I could kick somebody out, but it does give me a warning that somebody's in there. So I'm not going to go into that one. This one's ready, meaning it's already been spun up. So I don't have to wait the extra several minutes that the stopped ones would have to take to start those instances. So if I go into the one that's ready, which is the one that I exited or disconnected from, it's going to put me back into where I had left off the last time I was in there. So I was in Media Composer. That's where I am. Now I can go right back to work. Whoa.
And that's loud. Okay. And then if I see the allowances, are these charges automatically billed? So no. I think, as I mentioned earlier, if you go over the allotted usage, you will not get overage charges, but Avid does monitor the usage. So if you are consistently using more than what you have sort of subscribed to, we will make the recommendation that you upgrade your package to either more users or more storage based on some consistent overuse of your existing subscriptions. So no, you're not going to get a bill at the end of the month for anything you overuse, but we will make a recommendation to you that you upgrade, should that be the case. And then just real quick on regions, because I'm seeing a couple of other questions on regions that's available. So Edit on Demand today is available in Japan East data center, in Europe, in West Europe and UK South data centers, in North America, in the East and East US and West US, as well as South Central US data centers, in Australia, in the Australia East data center, and in India, in the India East data center. So those are the regions where EOD is deployable today. And like I said, that will continue to be updated as we add more data centers. I'm just checking to see if we have any other new questions here.
Let's see.
Oh, here we go. Can we use Marquis project to do a download of the project from the cloud? I'm going to say the answer to that is no today.
You are correct. That's an external system, so that would be something that would be more facility set than inside of Edit on Demand. Are we able to track usage for our editors? You can track usage of EOD as a whole. You're not able to track each specific editor. But you're able to track, because the whole idea of Edit on Demand is it's by time of usage of the instance that you have subscribed to.
All right.
Let's see, what other nuggets do we have that we could?
If you want, Michael, I'll just show real quick the setup for a third monitor that we have available today.
Perfect. Let me go ahead and stop my share. Go ahead.
So I'm just going to share real quick because this is a question I'm seeing on some of the other platforms. So real quick, I'll pull this up. So when it comes to client monitoring, of course, this is a very popular request. Oops. Sorry about that. So you can see my screen.
Yep, absolutely.
So this is a way for enabling the third party. So NDI out of Media Composer to Zoom, and then using Zoom to basically do some review. So that is one scenario, right? And so, like I said, we're working on qualifying other solutions in this area that will enable third screen monitoring, I should say, or over-the-shoulder monitoring. But this is pretty much what's available today, and we have this running for a few clients as of today. So that was a good one. And then let's see. One other note, right, just about types of workflows. So what we've found in terms of ideal use cases, it's really been, traditional offline production companies doing things like repackaging on sort of the enterprise or broadcast side of things, folks doing documentaries, magazine shows, soap operas, those types of shows, certainly reality TV. All of those fit really well into this service. And again, as we add more capabilities to Edit On Demand, that scope will broaden, and you'll be able to do even more in terms of productions. But today, this is what we found fits really well, given what Edit On Demand is capable of today and the types of projects it's really ideal for. So I also wanted to just sort of point that out and make sure that you understand that. Now, see if it's a good fit.
I mean, overall, I've been extremely impressed with how it's evolved since we first started showing this, and due to the current situation and what people want to do, it's pretty amazing. I mean, it almost, again, if you know Media Composer and the whole environment and collaboration, and the speed at which you can set this up quickly it's really phenomenal.
Yeah, it's set up in a matter of hours, not days. And again, the feedback from customers has been overwhelmingly positive in terms of the responsiveness of using Media Composer, and of course the familiarity that already exists for customers who already are used to using Media Composer in Nexus to manage their environments on-prem is identical in the cloud. So ramp up time in terms of trying to learn the service is really negligible. And because it's all auto-provisioned, you don't need to be a cloud technology expert to set it up. It does all of that for you. So those are some of the other key things. And then just, as the industry, right, sort of shifts to as a service models and accelerates a move towards the cloud, these are some of the key things that are important for users, right, to have. Like I said, we saw a significant spike in interest in Edit On Demand once the pandemic hit. We actually launched the early access program at IBC in 2019, and we had a lot of interest, of course, but once the pandemic hit, it really spiked, and it's been fantastic in terms of the feedback that we've gotten from customers who have used the service, all of which continues to make its way into future add-ons to the service. Last but not least, as we close in on the top of the hour here, I want to thank everybody for participating in the webinar today. Thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all your questions. Remember that you do have that overview in your email that you can click on and watch anytime if you didn't have time to do so before the webinar. This is also being recorded and will also be sent out to anybody who signed up. So you will get this recording. And then all the questions that were asked during the Q&A session will also be included. So if there were questions that you did ask that we did not get to, we will absolutely fill those out and make sure you get answers to those questions. And I would also say, please keep the feedback coming, because that's only going to make the service better. And we're really excited about this SaaS offering and what it means for customers and the possibilities. And again, I want to thank you. And obviously, I want to thank Michael Krulik for being here today.
Thank
awesome.
you, Ray. It was awesome.
Yeah. No, this went great. And again, check us out. And you can also find out all the information on avid.com about Edit On Demand, what's possible. So I would encourage you to check that out as well. So thank you all, and have a great rest of your day.